Ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon is about roots and radicals in algebra. Well, ang pinakamadaling definition na maibibigay natin sa roots is that roots are inverse operation o power or exponentiation. So, what do we mean kapag sinabi nating inverse operation? Where we already encountered several inverse operations in mathematics. For example, we have addition and subtraction, wherein we can say, for example, we have the original number 3, and we added 2, you will have 5. Then, the inverse of that is yung subtraction yan. So, we have 5 minus 2, it will gives you back yung original number natin, which is 3. So, if you say you have 5 plus 6, you will have 11. So, ang inverse niya, in subtraction, you will have 11 minus 6 is equal to 5. So, you are going back to the original number here. And then, another inverse operation is multiplication and division, wherein if you multiply a number, for example, 3 times 2, this is equal to 6. So, our original number is 3. When you multiply by 2, you will have 6. Then, ang inverse niya is division. If you have 6, you divide it by 2, it will gives you back yung original number natin na 3. And now, we are telling here that roots is an inverse operation of power or exponentiation. So, how do we do this? So, for example, you have a number like 3 squared, and we know that it means 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. And then, if you have 5 cubed, you will have 5 times 5 times 5 is equal to 125. So, paano dito nagwo-work yung sinasabi nating inverse operation na root? So, we have this number right here, and it should go back to the original number, which is 5. So, that means, anong number ang dapat na i-multiply mo 3 times in order to come back to the original given natin, no? At dito na pumapasok yung roots na tinatawag natin. So, in here, sa ating first example, ang question na pwedeng gawin dito is, what is the square root of 9? And based from this example, you should have the answer, which is 3. Then, sa second problem natin, pwede naman itanong dito is, what is the cube root of 125? And as per our example, the cube root of 125 is 5. Okay, so that's what we mean by inverse operation, no? So, pinapakita lang natin dito how the root function as an inverse operation of powers or exponentiation. Now, let me show you the radical notation. Madali na ma-recognize yung mga roots natin or radicals because of this radical symbol na nakikita ninyo. And usually, it will be expressed this way. Okay, so i-identify natin yung mga parts na yan para madali nating maintindihan. Itong symbol na nakikita natin dito, yan ang tinatawag nating radical sign or symbol. Ito namang nakikita nating N na maliit na nandito sa upper left ng ating radical symbol, yan naman tinatawag nating index. Ito naman na nasa loob ng ating radical symbol, yan naman ang tinatawag nating radicand. And the number or a variable na naandito sa left side ng ating radical, ang tinatawag nating coefficient. So, how do we write this para madali natin siya maintindihan, no? So, ang ating second example here, we have here 5 cubed is equal to 125. So I will write it this way. So, ang sabi natin, roots is an inverse operation ng power or exponentiation. If you remember, another name that we call itong ating exponent is an index. So, it will be easy to remember because itong maliit na number na naandito rin sa upper left ng ating radicals notation ay tinatawag din nating index, no? So, that will be the index of our radical sign. So, if we have here this notation, no? And if you remember that if you're asking for a root on this particular example, our question will be, what is the cube root of 125? So now we are looking for the cube root of 125. Therefore, 125 will be our radicand. So what is the cube root of 125? So if you do this operation, it will give you back our original number, which is 5. So that's what we mean when we say that root is an inverse operation of power or exponentiation. So I hope that we are clear about this. Now let us discuss about the properties of roots or radicals. First, let us consider if the root is an even number. So anong ibig sabihin natin dyan? So we know that if we are talking about root, we are talking about this, no, yung index natin dito. So if our index in our root is an even number, what will happen? I will give you some examples, no. The first question is, what is the square root of 4? So what number should you multiply by itself to give you an answer of 4? Well, yes, the answer is 2, because 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So that's correct. But there is also another answer to this, because if you have negative 2 multiplied by negative 2, and negative times negative is also equal to positive, no? So you have also a number 4 answer here. So let us try another one. We are looking for an even number sa ating root, no? So let's say the question is, what is the fourth root of 16? Well, the answer again is positive 2, because 2 times 2 is equal to 4, times 2 is equal to 8, times 2 is equal to 16. So that's correct. However, another possible answer is negative 2, because if you multiply negative 2 times negative 2, this will be positive 2. And then multiplying it again by negative 2, this will be negative 8. Then multiplied by negative 2, this will be positive 16. So you have two answers again. Okay? So what does it mean? Therefore, we can conclude from these examples that if the root is an even number, you will have two roots. You will have a positive root and you will have a negative root. And take note na itong positive root natin ay tinatawag nating principal root. For example, if we want to take the square root of 25, your answer will be positive 5 and negative 5. And the positive 5 right here is what we call the principal square root of 25. Now, what if the root is an odd number? Let's say we have a question, what is the cube root of 125? So, if you multiply 5 by itself, you will have 5 times 5 is equal to 25, times 5 is equal to 125. So, this is correct answer. But what will happen if the same way na ginawa natin dito, i-multiply natin yung negative 5 by itself? Negative 5 times negative 5, we'll have here positive 25 times negative 5, you will have negative 125. So, this can't be the answer. Okay, so isa lang yung naging sagot natin. So, let's try again. Let's say, what is the cube root of negative 27? So, if you multiply 3 by itself, you will have 3 times 3 is equal to 9 times 3 is equal to 27. But we're looking for negative 27, so this can't be the answer. But if you multiply negative 3 by itself, you will have negative 3 times negative 3 is equal to positive 9 times negative 3. Positive times negative is equal to negative 27. So, we have our answer here. Therefore, if our root is an odd number, isa lang yung magiging sagot natin, as you've seen from these examples. And what can you observe sa mga signs natin? If you're taking the root of a positive number, you will have a positive answer, no? If you are taking the root of a negative number, you will have a negative answer. So that means you will retain yung sign. Okay? Like itong number 2 natin. What is the cube root of negative 27? So our answer is negative 3. Then sa number 1, what is the cube root of 125? The answer is positive 5. Now, let us discuss how to read the radicals. The same way sa exponents, meron din tayo ditong mga special names na ginagamit kapag ang index natin is 2 and 3. So, in exponent, kapag ang exponent or index natin is 2, we call it squared. And if the index or exponent is 3, we call it cube. So, the same way dito sa ating radicals. So, if we have, for example, this one, we call it the square root of x. Now, you will notice na walang number na nakasulat dito sa ating index. Well, this is understood that this is a square root. So, it means that you already have 2 on our index in this case. So, normally, in writing square roots, hindi na natin sinusulat tong 2 sa ating notation. And then, if you have this notation, this is read as the cube root of x. And then, the next one, you will read this as the fourth root of x. And it will go on and on sa mga susunod. You will just use the order numbers in reading this. For example, ang index natin is 5, you will read this as the fifth root of x. Now, if you remember, we discussed earlier that if our root is even number, you will have two answers. You will have positive and negative root. And yung positive root is tinatawag din nating principal root. Now, I want you to take note of this, guys. When we are using our notation for radical, you are only getting the principal root. Okay, so I would like you to take note of that. Okay, so I will box it para ma-highlight natin siya. So, anong ibig sabihin natin dyan? If we say, for example, what is the square root of 25, we will have two answers, positive 5 and negative 5. And this is correct. Okay, this is the correct answer. However, if we write it this way, what is the square root of 25? In here, the answer will be positive 5. Because, as we mentioned here, if you're using this notation, you are only getting the principal root. Therefore, this one is not equal to negative 5. So you have to take note of this. But I would like to highlight that this is not always the case. There is an importance of having the negative root. And we need the negative root in order not to miss any solution. Because there are some application na kailangan natin yung negative roots. And I will give you an example here. There are application na kailangan natin yung negative roots. For example, yung application niya in geometry. Ano yun guys? For example, meron tayong ganitong equation. So let us solve for x. We will have here x squared is equal to 9. Okay? Now, we will take the square root of both sides. We will have here square root of x squared and square root of 9. And then, because this is our inverse operation, square root of x squared is equal to x. Then we will have here the square root of 9, which is 3, right? But we need the answer here na positive and negative 3. And I will show you an example, because if you graph this equation, you will have it like this. This is our y coordinate and this is our x coordinate. Okay, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. And the value of x here represents kung saan magmi-meet yung ating curve and yung x-axis. So in this case, we have two answers here. X is equal to positive 3 and x is equal to negative 3. And by the way guys, this sign here represents plus and minus value, no? So we will be using that more often later. Okay, so now we have an x value equal to 3 here. So I will put this on the graph. And you also have a value of negative 3, which is here. These are all negative numbers, no? So this will be on this area. So we'll have a graph here like this. Okay? So that's how important it is. And also sometimes, kasi nakikita natin lagi yung value ng x, laging the same, no? Positive 3, negative 3, pareho ng value. But it will not always be like that. For example, we'll have this given. Okay? So I will take the square root of both sides. I will have here the square root of x minus 3 squared is equal to the square root of 16. So I will have here x minus 3 is equal to square root of 16 is equal to 4. But we'll have here plus and minus 4. Okay, because for example, I want to solve for the x value, right? So I have here x minus 3 is equal to positive 4. And I have here x minus 3 is equal to negative 4. So my x right here will be equal to 4 plus 3, which is x is equal to 7. And right here I will have x is equal to negative 4 plus 3, which is equal to negative 1. So magkaiba yung naging answer natin guys. So ganito ka-importante yung negative values natin, no? Now guys, I would like to discuss what is the square root of a negative number. And this will apply sa mga roots natin na even numbers, no? But let me just give you an example for the square root para mas madali nating maintindihan. What can you observe guys if you square any number? Our answer is always positive, diba? For example, 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Then if you have negative 3 times negative 3, this is also equal to 9. Negative 4 times negative 4 is equal to positive 16. Now, having this example, is it possible to square any number and you will have an answer of negative? So, base dito, hindi siya possible, no? And then, if that is the case, since roots are the inverse operation of exponent, is it possible to have a square root of a negative number? Is it possible to have an answer? Well, if you can see on this example, it is not possible. That is why the square root of any negative number is what we call imaginary number. So for now, everything na makikita natin na nagtitake ng square root ng negative number, or if our root is a positive and then we need to take the root of a negative number, we know that that will be an imaginary number. But later on in a separate video, we will be discussing about these imaginary numbers in details, no? But for now, everything na ma-encounter natin ganito sa ating mga problems, we will just write it as imaginary number, okay? Well, that's it for now, guys, and thank you for watching. We are inviting you to register sa www.enginerds.org. It is a community of Filipino engineers, engineering students, and STEM students. Thank you very much and have a nice day.